Thanks so much for tuning to Sin's Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, today we are going to be reviewing Elektra by Jennifer Saint. I love Jennifer Saint. I loved Ariadne. Oh, that book. So good. Her prose is amazing. And her prose was as amazing in this one. I think it was just the way the story was written through me. In Ariadne, you are mostly following Ariadne's perspective, but you're also following Phaedra as the story progresses. With this one, there are three perspectives. You have Cassandra, Elektra, and Clytemnestra, right? Agamemnon's wife, Elektra's mom. I think my issue is I liked Ariadne so much, you know, and I think my issue with this one was I felt like I didn't get enough of some characters. Cassandra, her perspective was really, really powerful. However, I wanted more of her story. You know, I wanted a little bit more of her story because her chapters were were few and far between compared to Elektra and Clytemnestra. In fact, Clytemnestra took over the majority of the story, and I really think that ultimately the story should have just been called Clytemnestra and not Elektra. I understand why it was called Elektra. However, I think it was lacking in Elektra's perspective as well. I know the story of Elektra, Clytemnestra, you know, the House of Atreus, and Agamemnon. You know, I love Greek mythology. And I think Jennifer Saint does a great job of delving into the mythology and really giving these women a stronger perspective, because they do have strong perspectives, and there just wasn't enough of it. I wanted more from Elektra and Agamemnon as a child. I wanted to have a reason to sympathize with her, you know? Because Agamemnon's an ass. He's an ass. Like, in Greek mythology, he's just an ass. There's no way I was ever going to be sympathetic to his death. You know, and I wasn't sympathetic to his death when Clytemnestra took him out. I was like, yes, I understood Clytemnestra 100%. I gravitated towards her. And you really do get to see the strain between her character and her daughter, Elektra. But I would have wanted a deeper reason to empathize with Elektra, because we don't really get to see a lot of her relationship with her father. We know that she, you know, Elektra syndrome, you know, Oedipus syndrome, Elektra syndrome. We know she like loves her father, you know. I would have wanted to see more of that. At least a somewhat redeemable aspect of Agamemnon. You know, we get one interaction of them when she's a child, and, you know, and that's it. One interaction. So I think if there had been more depth there, a little bit more storytelling of her as a child, and showing just why she idolizes her father so much. And because she does have other sisters, and they don't exactly feel the same way. You can tell that they don't feel the same way as Elektra. They're not as devoted. So I would have liked to see, why is Elektra that devoted to her father? You know, what was that catalyst that made her completely just be like, oh yeah, dad killed my sister and I'm totally okay with it. You know? I wanted something more from Elektra, and I just didn't get that. You do get to see that strain between her and Clytemnestra, as I said, and we really delve into that. But I think overall the story's strongest perspective is Clytemnestra, you know? And that was really my big reason why I liked it, but I didn't love it. You know, Ariadne I loved, give that book 5 stars. This one I can only give it 4 stars because I wanted more of Cassandra, who ended up falling off. Every time we'd get her perspective again, I'm like, oh, that's right, Cassandra is a story here. I mean, all three of the women are tied together because Agamemnon. So we didn't really get a whole lot of Cassandra. We got enough, like the important bits, but every time she had a chapter, it was like so strong and powerful, and then they were so far between that you're just like, oh, that's right, you're a character in this book. You have a perspective. Because she just kind of kept falling into the background, you know, into the backdrop, and it was mostly just Clytemnestra and Elektra. Clytemnestra and Elektra. And most of the story, a big chunk of it was Clytemnestra until you get to the end, and then it's mostly just a big chunk of Elektra. But we still... I wanted to understand Elektra more. I understood Cassandra. I understood 100% Clytemnestra. I wanted to understand Elektra more. You know, I wanted to see at least a humanizing aspect of Agamemnon that could allow me to at least sympathize with Elektra, because Agamemnon's just an ass, you know? maybe that's the author's intent. Maybe we're not supposed to really sympathize with Elektra, but I wanted to understand her, and I just didn't feel like I understood her. Beyond being a devotional daughter. But why? You know, I wanted that question answered. Why were you so devotional to your father? We only got one interaction, and it was just kind of like, yeah, he gave you a dagger, okay? I needed more substance there, and that's really my biggest hiccup with this book overall. But other than that, you know, I did really like it, and I do love Jennifer Saint's storytelling and her prose. I think it's hypnotic. It's worthy of something that would be in Edith Hamilton's mythology. But I just didn't love it. I liked it. I didn't love it. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop reading Jennifer Saint. I own all her books. I'm so excited to read all her books because her prose is hypnotic. Her prose, she writes such good, strong characters. I mean, Clytemnestra and Cassandra, they were good, strong characters. There just wasn't enough of Cassandra, I think. You know, there was a point where I was just like, you don't get enough of a perspective. I'm often wondering, why are you in this book? You have a strong story, and I think it needs to be heard, which is why I think it needed more, you know? So, yeah, I still enjoy it, and I still recommend it, especially if you love, you know, Greek mythology, that it does connect to the story of Troy. So, and again, her characterization is really on point. Her prose is hypnotic. It's wonderful. Saint knows how to write a story. That's it. She does know how to write a story. It was just lacking when it came to Elektra, I think. I think that's my biggest hiccup. So, yeah. Still, 4 stars. 4 stars. On that note, thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your book loving friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.